Right, hey guys, it is TsubakiSwagg and I'm coming to you with my review of Sword Art Online episode 12, Phantom Bullets. This episode. So, of course, it picks up where last one I thought that Kirito and Sinan were talking. Well, Kirito and Sinan finally split up and they were going to figure out where Death Gun was so that way they can take him out. And Kirito, being the smart person he is, he figures out that there is someone missing within the battle. There's someone unaccounted for. If you count everybody that's gotten killed, plus like Pale Rider and everybody, there's only about 28 people. Well, 28 people. No, I think it's 29 people. So there's one person missing. So that means that Death Gun took out somebody else while he was waiting for Sinan to reappear. There's more than one Death Gun, meaning there's more than two Death Guns. There could possibly be, because there are 10 surviving members of Laughing Coffins, so there could possibly be about 10 Death Guns, if you think about it that way. So, Death Gun is, of course, we all know he's not working alone, but there could be more than two working, which is a really scary thought if you think about it. Because there would be no possible way, like, it'd be so coincidental for Pale Rider and Sinan to be living within the same vicinity for Death Gun, the other Death Gun, to be able to get from his house to her house within 30 minutes of him trying to kill her. So there has to be more than two Death Guns, which is what, of course, that's what Kirito came up with, which is really scary. And he told Sinan about this, and Sinan like freaked out. Well, she didn't really freak out. She was trying not to freak out because Sinan, she, like, as we all know, she's deathly afraid of guns. So the fact that there might be more than one Death Gun, and the fact that there is possibly somebody standing within her room right now waiting for her to die or get killed is really scary. So they figured out what they're going to do, and they made a plan. So they put their plan into motion, and Kirito stood like in the middle of a field waiting for Darkwind to come after him, because Darkwind is the only person left besides him, Sinan, and Death Gun. So Darkwind was going to go after Kirito. Of course, we all knew that, because Darkwind is a run gun player, which means that he'll run, shoot, and then run again. So while they were waiting for Darkwind, Sinan, of course, was sitting on top of the tower waiting to see him. So she was going to take out Darkwind, and then when they figure out where Death Gun is, Kirito's going to go after Death Gun. So Sinan was waiting for Darkwind, and of course Kirito, he is just freaking awesome. The fact that he can sit and listen and know exactly where people are amazes me. So he was waiting and listening. He figured out where Darkwind was, and he was waiting, listening, and then Death Gun just so happened to appear on his radar. And Death Gun tried to shoot him, and Kirito literally moved in that split second, and it like shot through his hair, which would have scared shit out of me, but maybe that's just me. So Kirito just barely moved out of the way of the shot, and he figured out where Death Gun was. And while all that was happening, Sinan took out Darkwind, so that way Darkwind wouldn't get killed by Death Gun. So Darkwind is out of battle, but so now only 3 people that are left are Death Gun, Kirito, and Sinan. And Sinan and Kirito, well, Sinan and Death Gun figured out where Sinan was. Well, Death Gun figured out where Sinan was because Sinan had her red dot on sight, which the laser points at the target. So Death Gun saw this, and Sinan saw his laser, and Sinan and Death Gun literally shot at the same time. Their bullets literally almost hit each other, and Sinan and Death Gun took out each other's scopes. So now Death Gun does not have a scope, which you're not much of a sniper if you don't have a scope. So Death Gun is now, not necessarily incapacitated, but Kirito coming after Death Gun because Death Gun was shooting at Kirito, and Kirito finally got to him, and Death Gun pulls out an toss. I want to say that's how you pronounce it. It's a sword, a very sharp sword, and probably one of the best swords that you could have. And he has one within the game, and Death Gun, he's just too freaking OP. But Death Gun like stabs Kirito in the shoulder. Kirito flips out because he wasn't prepared for that. And then they show like Asuna, she gets to the hospital, and her and the nurse are talking, and they figure out that Sturban actually means death in German, which is what the word that they would use in the hospitals when somebody was pronounced dead, which was part of the reason why the nurse knew this. So we figured out that Sturban really does mean death. If they had known this, but I mean, of course, they're Japanese and the word is in German, so of course they wouldn't know that it was Sturban. Well, it meant death, but that's neither here nor there. So, after all of that, Death Gun and Kirito were talking, and Death Gun pretty much told Kirito that Kirito doesn't know what his name is, because Kirito gave his whole like speech about how all of this stuff is happening and how he already knows everything about Death Gun and how he's killing all these people and blah blah blah. And as soon as they figure out what his name is, what his name was in the game, they'll be able to figure out his real name and his address, because everybody in Sword Art Online, like their real name and their username and everything was connected, so you can figure out their address just by finding out what their name was within the game. But Death Gun tells him, and I remember now when they showed that part, I remember they said that Kirito doesn't even know his name, so he won't be able to figure out who he is, and he won't be able to stop him. So he said he was going to kill Kirito and then kill the girl, and then she was going to die in the real world, pretty much. So they show like a flashback. Kirito pretty much did say, he said, I don't want to know your name. I don't need to know your name because I'll never see you again. Little did he know, he came across him again, which it really was the same person. I was thinking that's who it was, but I wasn't absolutely sure. So that just confirmed all of my suspicions. So we don't know what Death Gun's real name is. We don't know what his surname was in Sword Art Online either. So that's just going to make this just even more complicated than it already was. So and that was pretty much the end of the episode. So the fight is about to go down, like down in the next episode. Like things just got really interesting. So I was so mad that they cut it off right there. I was waiting to see what was going to happen because Kirito knew he was screwed. So as always, I would love to hear how you guys felt about this episode, because this episode was fucking awesome. But as always, please remember to comment, thumbs up, and subscribe. It helps me out a whole lot. And this is TsubakiSwagg saying adios.